The law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns states that the gain in output due to increasing a single factor of production will begin to decline and eventually turn negative. This law is illustrated graphically at the right. Let's examine this graph over the next few slides. When the amount of the single factor is increased from near zero, the benefit is large. For instance, adding water to land that is dry will result in large gains in crop yield. The slope of the curve starts to level off as the factor is increased. There are still gains, but adding the same amount of water results in small gains in crop yield. The crop has almost all the water it needs, so adding more doesn't help. At the top of the curve, adding more water has no impact on crop yield. The slope of the curve is zero. The crop has all the water it needs. Adding more has no effect. Finally, the curve has a negative slope, indicating that adding more water actually harms the crop, decreasing yield. Too much water is not good for crops. While we used water as our example, the same principle applies to each single factor of production. Adding more labor, fertilizer, tractors, etc. can result in gains in crop yield, but those benefits diminish as the amount of each of them is increased. To continue to achieve gains by increasing one factor of production, the other factors of production also need to be increased. Even so, there will always be a limiting factor that cannot be increased, which will result in all of the other factors having diminishing returns. There is an optimal balance of all the factors of production, which will yield the best output for the total investment. Farmers need to determine the balance between all factors which will yield the greatest crop for the least cost. At that optimal balance, the cost of no individual factor of production will exceed what is needed to achieve the result.